Welcome to the Project DIY Hunter Podcast. If you're thinking about hunting DIY, or if you've been hunting DIY for a long time, this podcast is for you. We invite you to join us as we seek to gain knowledge to continue to be successful DIY hunters. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast. So what is going on? This is another episode from Project DIY Hunter Podcast. I got Donovan and Kenny here with me. We're going to talk some turkey talk. Kenny, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. How's COVID treating you?
It sucks, but we're going to make it.
So, Donovan, you want to go in and tell a little bit about your hunting history and kind of some recent stories, some stuff that happened recently?
Yeah, sure. So I've been hunting since I was about 14 years old. Turkey hunting has always been a big part of my life. I had the privilege of having the late Wyman Kellett introduce me to turkey hunting, and that's where sparked my interest. And I kind of took things that he taught me and ran with it. I believe I was 15 when I killed my first turkeys. And I've always learned a little something every year, and that's always been my goal, was to try to take something from this year and learn something new to apply it to the next year and the next year. And now I'm able to do the same with my daughter, which kind of leads me into what happened recently. She was able to take her first turkey yesterday on the youth hunt.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Wyman Kellett was an awesome guy for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of a legend of this area. I seen that. I think his son killed one today, didn't he?
His grandson did, yeah.
Grandson,
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. So you want to go in and kind of tell us a story about what happened yesterday?
Yeah, so start off, I bought this little 410 shotgun. It's a little Stevens Model 301 410 single shot. I bought it because I knew it would be low recoil for her. Went through a lot of research on different types of chokes, different types of shells to be able to shoot out of it, and try to get the best pattern possible. And had a little bit of a fiasco with that. I ordered a choke from a company and received it. It would not thread in all the way. I sent it back to the original manufacturer. They checked it and said that it seemed to be okay. So I actually took my dial calipers and measured it once I got it back and compared it to the factory choke versus my choke, and you could definitely tell that there's a big difference. So I don't know if it's my gun or the choke. Either way, we're just deciding to stick with the factory choke. I did order some tungsten loads, tungsten super shot loads from Foxtrot Ammo, and out of the factory choke, it seems to hold a pretty good pattern. So I was able to let her, practice with that for the past month or so, and she's getting used to it, how to hold it. I actually had to cut it down for her so that way she could shoulder it a little bit easier. And the area we was hunting, we knew there's birds in the area, and we go in the day before, we set a blind up. So that way I knew it was going to be tough trying to get a bird to come in range and her be able to be still enough. That's, if anybody knows anything about turkey hunting, their sight's number one defense on their part. So,
yeah, no, we know that all too well.
Yeah, so we got a blind set up, and had me, my daughter, Haley, and my father-in-law. We all was piled in there, and I was able to get it all on film, which was pretty cool. And so right at daylight, we had two gobblers that struck off on the limb. We walked in probably less than 100 yards from them. We didn't even know they were there. To be honest, I could probably see where we parked, where they were at. But, they flew down. they were coming, but they stayed about 100 yards out. They would gobble. Wasn't real. They weren't on fire real hot or anything like that, but they would respond here and there. But they had other things on their mind. They went off into the woods and they stayed. They were by themselves. They didn't have any hens with them. So we sat there about 30 minutes more, and I called lightly here and there, and thought we heard one off in the distance. And about 10 minutes later, we saw two pop up in the top of the field, and they ended up seeing the decoys that we had set up. Called to them, and they gobbled and started strutting, and then they pretty much come running down to our setup. Took them about 2 minutes to get down. They come in, they beat the decoys up a little bit. Took my daughter a little bit to get on the birds because they kept moving around. She couldn't get steady on them. Thankfully, the gun has a little red dot scope on it, so I told her, said, as long as you put that dot on their head, you should be good. So one of the birds was able to stay still long enough. She was able to squeeze the trigger off and put him down.
So what do you think the kill range is for that 410? And the reason I'm asking is I want to take my stepson this year, and he has a 20 gauge, but I don't think he wants a 20 gauge with turkey load, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And we have a 410 too, so I didn't know what's the effective kill range.
Well, I've been looking, doing a lot of research on this gun as far as patterns and different types of load combinations. And there's actually a devoted page on Facebook just for the Stevens 301 410 shotgun. And a lot of people on there post patterns and different load combinations. And man, I actually just saw one just a second ago before I got on here. Somebody had posted it. They ranged it out. It was like 40 yards. And I mean, these things are devastating out 40, 45 yards. If I had a good choke, not the factory choke, I'd rather have an aftermarket choke because they seem to test it and done a little bit better with certain loads. 40 yards, no, I wouldn't hesitate.
Really? I'll keep that in mind. So what decoy was you running? Was you running quarter strut jakes or full struts, or what was you running?
Yep. So I run Dave Smith decoys, and yesterday I was running particular a quarter strut jake and just an upright hen. I have a breeder hen as well, but I didn't have it out, so I just had those two set up. One theory, I don't know if it's just a theory that there are a few jakes in this area where we've been hunting, and the one of the ones my daughter killed was a jake. I don't know if those two gobblers may have gotten their tails beat by some of them jakes, because I have witnessed that before. Jakes will run a gobbler off. They'll come in there and beat him up.
Yeah, that's why I'm always leaning towards a full strut gobbler versus a quarter strut jake, just because I've had them not come in because of that before. Yeah. But also, whenever I set up my full strut tom, I put his tail towards where I think the turkeys are coming.
Yeah.
So they're sneaking up behind them, I guess.
Yeah.
And that what's your thought on that?
I've used a full strut decoy once. I don't really care for them, and I'm going to tell you why. Especially if I'm trying to kill a bird for someone else or get someone else to kill a bird. If I'm hunting a dominant bird, then I don't mind using a full strut decoy. If you use a full strut and a subordinate gobbler comes in, he ain't the big dog. I feel that sometimes when he comes in, he sees that full strut, he gets scared and he won't come in. If it's the boss gobbler, he's going to come in and challenge the decoy, and it'll be a bad day for him. But
yeah, no, I agree with that too. It's you kind of want to increase your odds. So
yeah,
but I've seen a Tom not want to come in because I got a Jake sitting here, and I've seen it the other way too. So
yep,
it's kind of just pick your battle at that time and what you want to do.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not above shooting a 2-year-old. I'll shoot a 2-year-old all day long.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, oh yeah, me too. Yeah. If I know there's a big gobbler in the area and certain one, and it's private land, then I'll let them walk because I know there's a bigger bird in the area. I don't want to educate him. Um, I'm gonna try to increase my odds all I can to kill that bigger bird. Now, public land, it don't matter. I won't shoot a Jake, but if it don't matter, 2-year-old, he's going home with me.
So what's your go-to call? What do you what was you using yesterday for them? I guess we're going to try to get in from early towards the end of the season kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. So I'm with Dead End Game Calls. I try to primarily use all their calls. Some of the only calls I've ever found that'll hold up season after season. There's nothing wrong with these Walmart calls, the HS struts, primos, stuff like that. But I found that some of these more custom calls that people make, it's a little bit better quality. And I've found that, the latex just seems to hold up a little bit better and the frames hold up. So I was using Dead End Game Calls. It's a ghost cut diaphragm call. And then their first light, I have what's like a little pot call or slate call. It's called the pothole. Very, very quiet. I can do some of those little tree yelps and get real quiet. I don't want to get real loud right off from the very beginning. I can tone it down, get real quiet with it, and then I'll after it gets daylight or after they've hit the ground, I'll throw my diaphragm in and start running with it.
Yeah, no, it's diaphragm calls. I would love to learn how to do it because I hunt with people who are amazing with diaphragm calls. I can't do it. I cannot use a diaphragm call.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's a lot of people that they struggle with it, and thankfully there's other options, for guys that can't. There's a lot of people I've heard that their gag reflex, they feel like they're going to choke. I remember seeing something years ago where somebody said, hey, tie a little string through the frame of the call, the part that's flexible, and you feel that it feels like it's going to choke, just pull it out. That way you have no issues with getting choked on it, which I've never had that issue, but I have talked to some people that did. They said, I feel like I'm going to choke on it. Well,
what bothers me about it is weird is it vibrates my tongue so hard that it vibrates my brain. So like my eyes jitter. So I've never got past the initial getting used to it.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel too weird.
Yeah.
So I always stick to a box call or slate call or, the little thumb press.
Yep.
I've never tried the turkey, but the elk call that I got does the same thing to me, the gag reflex. I got to put it like right at the front of my mouth, and it's a little tougher to use it that way. But I'm starting to get the hang of it.
Don't let them lie to you. I've heard it.
So what type of call would you recommend for somebody that's just getting into it?
Somebody just getting into it, I would definitely recommend just a box call, or as Kenny said, a push button style call. Those are almost anyone can use it. My daughter, 7 years old, she could pick it up and she can run it. I've even got a box call, like a paddle call. She can run it. Very little practice to make it sound really good. Those would be the calls that I would go to for a new hunter. And then as you get a little experience under your belt and you want to try to get some more experience with the diaphragm, go for it. You're only going to, when you first pick it up, you're not going to be good. Yeah, that's just plain and simple. Just like anything else. First time you do it, it's not going to be great. But the more practice you get, the better you'll become. So
you're trying to say I'll be able to kick you run one day?
Possibly. I ain't going to make no promises, but.
No, I'm a huge turkey fan. I love turkey hunting, and I kind of I like when people take me or I take people. To me,
Yeah.
that's when turkey hunting's funner, you know?
Yep.
And I'm super excited for the season this year.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yesterday was first time that I was actually able to get a full hunt on film. I recorded a hunt that I done last year just from my cell phone, setting it on the ground, and I got some pretty good footage. But yesterday was the first time I was actually able to set my camera up, and man, that really got me excited. So my wife, she's never killed one. I'm gonna be taking her this week after it opens, and I'm gonna try to get it on film. And that's gonna be my goal from here on out is get as many kills on film as I can, and that way you can just relive that experience.
Yeah, we're getting pretty big into filming here. We we got the YouTube channel and stuff. We ain't really released anything yet. I guess we're trying to build up a backlog so we can
Yep.
start posting. But
Yep.
hopefully we're gonna get some good footage this turkey season. We're gonna start putting it out because Charles ain't never killed one, so hopefully we can get his first one on on the ground and get it on film, and then my stepson,
Yep.
and then my fiance. She's never killed one, but that's the only animal she will kill, and I know she'll get one, but I don't think she'll shoot after the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think I can get her one, and then she's not gonna want to hold the gun no more.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. So, what's your take on this? This is a real touchy subject because a lot of people don't use it, but gobbling while you're turkey hunting on private land. Public land, I'd never gobble.
Like using a gobble call.
Yeah, on private land.
Um. Yeah. I mean, I don't. I use it as a locator call more than anything. Um, I have tried to use it in the past as I had some gobblers kind of henned up per se, and I hit that gobble call to try to make them think a gobbler had come on in to me and try to get them pulled away. I never had it work on my end. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but it isn't a call that I carry in my vest. And with that being said, when I first started, I had about every call that Walmart and Cabela's had. I had it in my vest. Now I'm very minimum. I've got one or two diaphragms and maybe a slate call. If it's real windy, then I'll have a paddle or a box call so I can cut through that wind. But other than that, that's about all I'll carry.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that too. But the reason I asked about the gobbler call is I've seen it work, but at the same time, say there's a gobbler with their hand up, you hit it, you make him mad, he wants to come in and start fighting. That's when I've seen it work. But the reason I ask is it's a good way to get shot too, because somebody across the ridge hears you gobbling, they don't know it's you, and they're going to come out and they can shoot your decoys just because people are stupid. So it's something you really got to be careful with is turkey hunting in general, but using a gobble call is dangerous. It can be dangerous.
Yeah, public land, I definitely wouldn't attempt to try to use one at all. If I was going to, it would probably be private land, and that would be about it.
All right, Donovan. So, what do you say to somebody who's never hunted public land before, who wants to start, or who's never hunted turkeys at all, and just wants to go? So they, take off for public land, and they have no idea what they're doing. What do you tell them?
Well, one, if they can, try to find a mentor. Try to find somebody that will be willing to take them and teach them. I know sometimes that's tough and it doesn't work out, but if you can't make that happen, this was what I would suggest to that first time hunter that's just wanting to get into it to go on public land. Do some scouting. Do as much scouting as you can. Google Maps is a very good scouting tool of mine. There are some other hunting apps that you can get. OnX Hunts. Use that. Try to find what I like to look for on public land is any field that I can get near. I don't necessarily have to hunt the field, but if I can find some kind of a field that I can get within 100 yards from, I try to make that a go-to spot because them birds will go to them fields at some point. Maybe a right of way or a gas line or a power line, something like that. Now, with that being said, you've got to keep in mind that's where a lot of people are going to probably try to go as well. So you've got to try to pick a time when maybe it's less hunted, maybe through the middle of the week, or find somewhere where it's off the beaten path. Get back in there to those locations, and I have. That's what I do when I hunt public land. Primarily, is I've got a few spots that I'll go and hit, and I've only had maybe one run in with someone who had slipped in from the other side of the location where I was hunting. So I've never actually had anyone walk up on me. So that would be the first tip that I would give someone who's just wanting to get into turkey hunting and go hunt public land.
All right. Now that being said, what's your take on? I know on a lot of public land around here we have fire breaks and there are a lot of gravel roads. And I heard this a long time ago, and I've never researched it to know if it's true or not. Do turkeys eat little rocks like doves do to help digest their food?
They will.
So that's why they stay around gravel roads and that stuff. Okay.
Well, you'll find them in creek bottoms as well. Me and a buddy of mine, he killed one years ago, and we cut him open, and he had like little, it's almost like little seashells from the creek. It's like little shells that he had in his craw that helps him digest. The one that my daughter killed yesterday, it had clover, and it had like some type of a nut, acorn, or I'm not sure what kind of a nut it was, but I was able to break it in half, so it was some kind of a nut. That was what he had been eating on.
Really?
Yeah.
I figured the nuts would be gone by now, you know.
Well, these weren't fresh. Where these birds had come from, they were in some hardwoods, so they was probably in there doing some scratching around, finding some leftover acorns or something from the fall that the squirrels or whatever had missed, and I don't know. Maybe that's what he was eating on. I do remember last year on a hunt, I was set up next to a tree first thing, and as it started getting daylight, it sounded like it was raining, but I knew it wasn't raining because there wasn't no rain in the forecast. There wasn't no clouds in the sky. And then I started feeling something hitting me, and I realized it was those big old black beetles. Those black beetles, they were falling out of this tree like crazy. Well, I ended up killing a bird that morning, and that bird had his craw was full of those beetles. So I guess if you can find any location with a bunch of acorns, clover, whenever them beetles come out, if you can find certain location where they're at, from a tree, whatever, I would hunt that, because the birds, they're going to go feed. They do have other things on their mind, but they got to eat and they got to have water. So if you can keep that in your location as well, keep that in mind, you be a little bit more successful.
So what route do you think they take? They come from roost to feed to water, from roost to water to feed?
I think when we're hunting them, it's completely different than what they normally would do. Most of the time, they got one thing on their mind in the spring.
Yeah, no, you're right. I do too.
That's what they're going to go do. So,
yeah.
I feel midday, you might can find some hitting some fields or browsing through some hardwoods, trying to maybe eat a little bit. When I spoke earlier about the fields, the bugs, them turkeys will get out there and bug in them fields, especially after it rains or when it's raining and worms come up. That's a good time for them birds to be able to go out there and get them an easy meal. Therefore, it's going to be a good setup to try to kill a bird and get in them fields. That's kind of something I always keep in the back of my mind. If I know it's going to be raining or something like that, I'm going to go try to hit them fields. One, because of that, and two, the sound of the rain, and I guess maybe it'll affect their vision with the raindrops. I don't know, but that cuts down on their defense a little bit. So they're going to get somewhere where they can see a little bit better. So that way something can't sneak up on them, like a coyote or something like that.
Yeah, whenever it's raining, I always know where I'm going. Like, same spot every time it's raining. If it's coming raining or it's raining now, I know exactly where I'm going.
Yep.
That's kind of my go-to honey hole, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's hard I want to get more public land under my belt this year for turkeys than I have in the past because, you know, there's not as many fields. It's, like you said, mainly fire breaks and roads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different animal to try to chase. You know what I mean? It's not you're hunting tall pine, hardwood turkeys that hang out on fire breaks instead of, you know, fields and crop fields and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely it's a hard animal to go after. And I think that's what attracts me to it is, you know, it's different. Even though it's the same animal, it's, you know, it's in a different habitat.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's harder to me. And I mean, they have a vast range that they can go to too.
So that's that's one of the reasons I love hunting public land, because if you can kill a big dominant bird off of public land, to me, you've done something, because that bird's been called at. He's done heard every call in the book. If you can outsmart him and sound better than what he's already heard, then you've done something. That gives me that satisfaction when I can kill one of them birds.
So what do you think about taking a duck call to locate? That's something Charles is going to do.
Yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with that at all.
I've actually seen somebody take a goose call, and a goose will make a turkey gobble. I've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I take a crow call.
So what's your go-to on the locate call?
First thing, early morning, I always hit an owl call, try to see if I can locate. If I don't, it ain't no big deal. Sometimes birds just don't gobble on the roost. I don't know why. You give it 20 minutes and the sun comes up, man, he's hammering. So I don't know why or what the rhyme or reason is why they'll gobble sometimes every time you hit the owl call. Sometimes they won't. A lot of times I'll use natural sounds. I'll let the other owls or birds in the area. I've had a goose fly over honking, and I've had a bird gobble. So I'll let other things let me help me locate where the birds are at. I will use a crow call middle day or, you know, after sun's up. But like I said, a lot of it's going to be scouting, knowing where the birds, or if there's birds in the area beforehand. So that way I don't really have to locate, because I know that they're going to be somewhere in that area. That's my take on locator calls.
Yeah, usually when I start scouting public land, it's I just walk around, look for scratches and, you know, feces and scat or whatever you want to call it, and go down that route and try to follow them, because they're not very secretive. You know, they leave a trail where they go.
Yeah, it's definite, you know. And, you know, once you find where they've been at in the area, drop a pin on X or on Google Maps. Just remember that location, and then start blowing it up and seeing what does that terrain look like. You know, see where they may go hang out, see where the water's at. You can get a whole lot better feel on what they're doing just by locating one spot where you've seen them at.
Yeah, my experience on where I turkey hunt at mainly is they do a big loop every day.
Oh, yeah.
So even at my mom's house, you know, they roost in the same general vicinity every day, but they always fly down and walk almost the same path until something disrupts that path. And then from my experience, you know, in the regular season, I'm not saying during a strut, you know, you got all kind of stuff going on, but they're not gonna deviate too much from that unless something makes them.
Yeah.
Because they know where the food is. They don't want to go looking for food every day in a new area. So it's kind of like a deer, you know, a whitetail will do the same path for 3 days before he changes it up. So to me, I feel like they kind of have the same instinctive pattern to them too.
Something that, with that being said, you know, as far as their patterns being the same, nothing changing, the only thing I've seen or found that will throw that off is once turkey season hits, especially public land, and people start messing with them. And the more calling they hear, they start going call shy. They may start avoiding areas because they've been messed with, or maybe they saw their buddy get shot on public land, and they're going to try to, they may throw their route off a little bit.
Yeah, they're the stupidest, smartest bird I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love chasing them, but man, they make me more mad than I think my kids can.
Yep.
I mean, I've wanted to have fits before and just throw my gun against a tree and just take off running. I don't know, something about a turkey. I mean, it's I didn't start turkey hunting until I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I guess. And man, it's addictive. It is so addictive. Like, Charles, you're gonna love it. Like, I hope I'm there.
I mean, I've enjoyed it the little bit I've done.
I hope I'm there when you shoot your first one. Just you think you like it until you shoot one, and you can't stop the flop. Man, that flop gets you going.
I'm gonna tell you, my daughter, she killed that one yesterday, and all day today she's been on YouTube watching turkey hunts. So I believe she's hooked.
I can't wait to take my stepson. He shot his first deer this year with his daddy, and hopefully I can be there for his first turkey.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a memorable moment for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how's the whole youth day stuff work? I know it's like the weekend before.
Yeah, generally it's the weekend before. They used to only have it one day. It used to just be the Saturday before opening day of season. Now they have it where it's Saturday and Sunday. I looked it up. I believe you can actually hunt public land on that Saturday, and then you can also hunt Sunday, private land only. But you have the 2 days now. It's the youth hunt weekend is what they call it, I guess. So that way, gives younger kids a better opportunity and advantage to be able to go out and try to kill a bird, which is, that's our future on hunting, try to get them involved. So.
Yeah, because, I mean, when we get older, we're still going to be fighting for the right to hunt like we are now. But, we kind of want to take the fight for them too. So they're not pushed out of it by people that's just always on them about how hunting is bad.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely, get them in at a young age so they can learn the passion and, I guess, start living the life, because it's definitely a lifestyle. It's not a hobby.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like I said, I'm super appreciative of Wyman Kellett for taking me. He took me and Derek when we was young. We'd go out and went with him a few times, and just listen to him call and different techniques on how to hunt them. And I enjoyed it. Never killed nothing while I was with him, but just taking what he taught and just running with it. And if someone's really into it and they really want to learn, just like anything else, you just soak up everything you can. Watch these hunting videos and stuff like that, learn techniques, and just run with it.
No, it's I'm super happy you come on today and we talked about how you do it and your take on stuff. I guess what's your most memorable turkey other than your daughter's? I know that's going to be number one for a long time, but
oh yeah, I would say my most memorable hunt would probably be the biggest bird I've ever killed. Actually, I killed two. It was back when we could kill more than one bird a day. I was hunting public land. I'd been chasing these birds. Been chasing them for a week and couldn't connect. They was henned up. Couldn't get them to come in. It really took some discipline because a lot of people will just sit there and just call and call and call and just wear them out just because they want to hear them gobble.
Yeah, sometimes you got to shut up.
Yeah, and that was something that I learned, and it was something I was going to touch on a little bit later, is just backing out, be quiet, and just backing out. He'll be there another day, hopefully, if it's meant to be. I backed out, went to another spot for about an hour or two. I come back, went up the creek towards where they were walking, about 200-300 yards, and had to climb a hill. And just so happened, as soon as I crested the hill, they were standing right there. Well, I spooked them. They took off flying. And I said, okay, well, I know where they're hanging out. I know their area. So I went back about 5 days later one morning, and they were up where I had spooked them, and it was near a field. I was able to actually call them out into the field. Once they saw the decoys, man, they came running. I killed the one he was about 10 yards away, and the other one flew and dropped back down. He was maybe about 50 yards out. I shot both of them, and I actually got one of them mounted. And they both had multiple beards. The biggest one had a total of 5 beards. I can't remember spur lengths. The one I got mounted, he had 2 very distinct beards, totaling 18 inches, and so I got him mounted.
That's a toad.
Oh yeah, that was probably my most memorable because I had a little bit of I guess history with them because I was able to mess with them the one weekend and then go back and finally connect and finish the deal a few days later. So, yeah. And there again, it was very dominant birds, or I don't know about dominant, but they were old, so they've been around, they've heard some calls. So for me to be able to outsmart them, whereas other people's been messing with them, it gave me a little bit more satisfaction on the hunt.
Yeah, taking anything mature, I don't care how big it is a good feeling. Oh, yeah. I mean, I shot a deer 2 years ago here, and he was on his decline. I mean, he was like 6 years old, no teeth. I mean, it was, and he still had a good rack, but I got more satisfaction out of him than I did my Ohio deer.
Oh yeah,
it's just because I mean, when you outsmart somebody that old, I mean, feel like you know what you're doing, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
When it comes to deer hunting, for me, I say I'm a trophy hunter, but I'm really not. Like the trophy I'm chasing is a mature animal.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just horns,
Right.
With age, the horns comes with it. I mean, it's kind of it kind of comes with it. But
yeah.
I don't know. Just something about shooting 2-3-year-old deer. I'm not a fan of. And I mean, I'll do it depending on where I'm at, but at the same time, I don't like doing it as much. So I tend to let a lot of deer walk because of that. And when it comes to turkeys, I don't have enough under my belt, I guess, to sit back and wait for the 3 or 4 year old when a 2-year-old with a 12-inch beard standing in front of me.
Yeah. Well, I feel, I don't know, around here it's a little bit different for that deer and turkey. I feel that with a turkey, a 2-year-old, they're going to respond. They're going to come in, but it's still a nice bird, and you get a 3 or 4, even a 4-year-old, you've done something. Around here for deer, I mean, you really got to invest some time and patience on a buck for him to actually develop into something that's going to be nice. And that's if he makes it, because unless you've got just a bunch of land to be able to let that deer walk, it's tough. If you don't have several landowners around you all on the same page, and man, it really makes it tough.
Yeah, especially around here where everybody hunts every 5 acres they can.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's the area we live in. Not many huge plots of land, It's kind of few and far between.
Yep.
So I know you said earlier you have multiple tips. You only gave us one. So we're going to backtrack a little bit and figure out what other tips you were talking about giving the listeners.
Well, the one, like I said, scout. Know the area. That would be my number one go-to. Number 2 is don't call too much. Call. If he responds, then just be quiet. As long as you call and he gobbles or responds every single time, then just ease off on the calling because he's coming. He's interested. He will be there. I've seen that a time or two where it's messed me up. Definitely. Everybody likes hearing them call and gobble, and you just keep pounding away on the call and listening to them gobble, and they'll sit out there and gobble all day long at you. My thing is I want him coming to me. I have seen him running or walking and gobble at the same time, but most of the time when he gobbles, he's going to stop. As long as he's walking towards me, and I know he ain't going to be gobbling. So,
yeah. The way I think about that is, I ain't mean to cut you off, is I guess you get them hooked, but then you got to reel them in.
Yeah.
So, you're calling, you're all excited. You're like, he's talking to me. Then you're like, wait a minute, why ain't he talking to me no more? Where'd he go?
Yep.
I'm going to go find out why he ain't talking to me.
Yep.
That's kind of the way I think about it. So you shut up and they're like, well, why ain't he talking to me? Now I'm sad. I'm going to go see what's going on.
And I killed a bird like that a couple years ago. I'd messed with this bird. He done the same thing every time I hunted this place. It was a small tract of land. It was about 7-8 acres, but there was birds around the area, and they would roost down on the creek off the property I could hunt, and they would go up the creek away from me every time. So this particular morning, and I'd always set off about 100 yards off the property line. I started calling, got him wound up, and I just was quiet. Well, I called again, and he still was over at the creek. I said, okay, he's doing the same. He's reading the script, just like he has been the whole season. So I went to the very edge of the property, as close to him as I could get. I called, got him wound up, got him excited, and then I backed off, walking away from him, calling. So it made it sound like the hen was leaving him. Man, that bird, I about couldn't get sat down fast enough because he come running.
Yeah, so I had a similar experience. Obviously, I didn't kill the bird because I never shot one, but I had one gobbling back at me and talking to me, and I could not get it to cross the creek. I mean, it wasn't a huge creek, it was probably 8 foot wide, maybe, but I could not get this bird to cross the creek, and this creek run long ways with the property that I was hunting, and I could not get him to come across that creek to me. So I don't know what I was doing wrong.
Well, I've heard it's really hard to get them to cross water or to come uphill. That's two myths I kind of want to hit.
Yeah, so now I've heard the opposite on the hill part. I've always heard that if you can get uphill on a bird, that's what you want to try to do because they'll come uphill, which I have had both scenarios, and I've had one come down a hill and I've had them come up a hill. So, I mean, that to me, it really don't matter to me. And the creek, I've had several fly, jump, hop over creeks to get to me. So I really think it's how much you call to him and how interested he is. If that bird, if you're sitting there calling to him so he's in his mind, he's saying, okay, this hen's interested in me. Well, I've got this creek and I'm going to let her come to me or see how far she'll come to me before I have to do my part and go to her. That may be the mood he's in. I don't know. Like I said, I've called, had them 200 yards away, and I've watched them. He about tripped over his beard trying to get across the creek to get to me. So I've seen it play out both ways. I really think it's the mood and what scenario is and how he's feeling that day.
So the one thing I do want to ask, and I've seen it 400 million different times in different ways too. When you got the proverbial Tom hung up 100 yards out with a hen, what's your go-to? Are you going to cut and run to get them to come in, or like what's your go-to? Get them excited enough to do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because that was going to be my next tip, and that's I don't call to him. I'm going to start calling to the hen that he's got with him. I'm going to get her mad. What I'll do is I'll start cutting real loud and just carrying on, and then I'll be quiet, and then I'll start back up cutting real loud. And what I'll do sometimes is I'll do a sequence where it sounds like there's two hens carrying on. I'll use a box call or slate along with my diaphragm. That way that hen, she hears me carrying on, and most of the time it'll get her wound up. And I'll get her good and mad, and every time she goes to cutting or yelping, I'll do the same thing. I've had it more times than not. She will start coming on in to investigate to see, all right, what other woman's in my area, and then he'll trail right along with her.
Yeah, that is a good tip that you brought up because I've seen it work. I've seen people do the cutting and get the hen all mad, get the hen come running, and then the tom just happens to follow her right in because that's his safety for that moment.
Yep.
So yeah, all this reminds me of the story of when I took one of my good friends, Jonathan, to kill his first bird, and man, he was so excited. But we were sitting there, and I'm on the edge of this field. It just got done raining, and these two jakes are out here raising immortal hell, and they finally come in, and I swear they're 5 yards in front of us, and they're sitting there for an hour, 5 yards in front of us, like you can't do anything. Well, finally, they go behind this tree that's fell down, and I get him to turn, and when he popped up, he shot this bird probably 10 yards away. But I've never been that close to, two jakes that had no idea where we were. Within 5, I mean, I could probably touch them a couple times when he walked by, and just that feeling is, oh man, it's ungodly. Like just up close and personal is what I love about turkey hunting. Which that's a big reason why I'm a bow hunter. When I, bow hunt for deer, is I like up close and personal. I want to see how close I can get to them. Now I don't want them to step on me because them things, they're 5 yards in front of you. They look like they're 4 foot tall and they can hurt you. So I mean, it is it's pretty sketchy too at the same time. Yeah. But especially when you shoot one and you see them attack the other one, which I still don't get why that happens, but as soon as you shoot one, if there's another one there, it's a jake or something, he's probably going to jump on his head.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes you wonder about their friendships. I don't think they're really that close of friends.
Yeah, and kind of makes you wonder how, just how smart are they?
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's what I was saying about earlier. It's the dumbest, smartest bird you ever meet. I have no idea why you can't go kill one every time because when it works, it's like, oh, my God.
Yep.
But then there's times that you want to pull your hair out is because he's seen you from 200 yards away because you wiped your nose off.
Mm-hmm.
Like their eyesight, and that's one thing I want to stress, is their eyesight is incredible.
Absolutely.
Their hearing ain't worth a crap, but their eyesight is amazing. So get behind cover. Do not – one thing that I do that another tip that I want to throw in on top of what Donovan said is, let's say I'm hunting the edge of a field. I don't want – where the turkeys are coming from, my decoys to me ought to be in a line. Because I kind of want them to look through – I don't want them to look through the decoys and see me moving. So I always try to kind of set up to the side so if he's looking at the decoys, he's not looking at me.
Yep.
And you can't do that all the time, but when you in different scenarios you get into, roughly where they're coming from, so you can set up and kind of get them that way. Because I've been busted visually more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Their sight is going to be that's their number one defense, and with that being said, it kind of lead into another topic or tip that I would give is, it kind of ties into the not calling too much. And it's always, just sit and just wait it out. Usually whenever I'm at a location and feel that it's about time to wrap it up, I always tell myself, all right, 15 more minutes, and then I'll go. More times than not, I've had something happen, whether a bird gobble or a bird come in to the setup within those 15 minutes. And in those 15 minutes, I don't call at all. It's just silence. And I've had a lot of times where I can see from a road where I'm able to set up or where I've been hunting, I'll be sitting there calling, not hear or see anything. I'll pack things up, head out, go ride around. I'll ride by that spot and look, and there's a bird right there where I had been hunting. And my only theory is, okay, well, he was interested. And finally, I shut up long enough, and it got him more interested, so he come on in. So if you just take that and use that tactic while you're hunting, I think you'll be a little bit more successful as well.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. I'm happy you said that because I forgot all about that. I've seen a lot of, older birds come in quiet.
Oh, yeah.
They're not gobbling. They're not doing anything. They just, all of a sudden, boom, birds right here in the decoys. You have no idea where he come from. And I think it comes with, with their age and being smart. So even if you don't see a bird or you don't hear one, don't, sit out here and do the worm. Because there could be one coming right behind you, just coming in quiet. You don't see them and you scare them off.
Mm-hmm.
So always act like you're hunting, even if you don't see anything.
Right.
So when you're walking through the woods, walk slow. Keep your movements down, all that, because I've had quite a few just sneak up on me.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I think we're going to wrap it up with that. Donovan, thank you for coming on with us. I'm sure the listeners got a lot of info and stuff from this conversation. And if they have any more questions, you can email us at projectdiyhunter@gmail.com. Then we also have a Instagram, project_DIY_hunter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. All those are Project DIY Hunter. And I also wanted to give Donovan a second to talk about dead end game calls.
Yeah. So yeah, I pro staff with Dead End Game Calls. Mitchell Johnston, he's the owner. He's won the national calling competition several years back, and man, superb caller. He's one that makes most all the calls that they produce. Look them up. They got a website. You can give them a call. Find them on Facebook. Tell them I sent you. Man, really check out their calls, because I'm telling you, I've used a lot of calls in the industry, and there's just something about these particular calls that they're my go-tos. They hold up year after year. I see that I don't have to buy calls every single year like I used to have to, which is, really good. You just take care of them. At the end of the season, I usually wrap them up and put them in the refrigerator or something, keep them cool, and then take them out the next season, and they're ready to go. Also, there's a couple other affiliates that I'm with. Horn and Fin Outdoors. You can look them up. It's kind of just a self film organization. They're trying to get some films out there on YouTube. You can look them up and see what they've got, and also Sling and Stitches Apparel. Pro staff with those as well. They got some pretty cool apparel that you can check out.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for some more episodes.